Hi, I'm John East, and today we're going to show you how to install a J Retro in a Fender Squier jazz bass. And like many who might do this, we're doing it on a kitchen table. So the tools we're going to use, we need a screwdriver which matches the screws in the Fender bass to take the plate out. We want to just double check the depth of the cavity, so we've got a ruler. Depth should be about 32 millimeters, which is plenty. And also we've got a battery here which we'll need for the J Retro. We want to check that that will drop into the cavity down by the jack. Very importantly, we should have something, a soft cloth. This is a chamois leather or whatever, and that we would use to put on the bass and have the preamp or any plates rest on it. It needs to be soft and very tough, and the chamois is ideal for that. We need like a modelling knife or something like that for stripping the wires, and there's cotton wires where we do need a blade. Other wires, if you have wire strippers, that's actually handy. And you're going to need some cutters for cutting the wires away from the passive plate or the plate that's in the bass already if it's soldered. There is no soldering with our unit, by the way. Okay, let's get on with it. So the first thing we do need to do is just to check that the J Retro will fit. So we'll remove this plate, and it's often a good idea to do this before you even buy the unit itself. So we do recommend you do that. So two things we need to check. We're going to protect the instrument with something that's very soft and strong. In this case it's a chamois leather, which is very soft and very strong, but obviously any decent cloth will do. So what we need to do is make sure that a battery fits in the cavity down by the jack end, and it should just drop in. There are wires in the way to make it a little bit tricky, but yes, the battery drops in. They mostly will, and it's only the older basses where they may not, a vintage hand routed bass or whatever. And then we want a depth of 32 millimeters or more, and there's plenty of depth on this, so we're good to go. So the first thing we do is disconnect the original pickup wires, and we normally just cut them because you can leave a bit of the insulation on just to show what colour wire went where, and it's always a good idea to retain the original electronics. Okay, so we've got two black cold wires and some black ground wires. So we'll just chop them all, and then we can remove the original plate. And I use a sort of a seeing hat, as I call it, to look at this stuff, because my eyes aren't what they used to be. So the next thing is to strip the wires, and that's actually the hardest bit of the whole job, because there's no soldering and everything's connected via screw terminals. So what you need is a sharp blade of some kind and something to lean on. This particular bass is quite a cheap reissue. It costs about £310. So we're basically cutting all round and then removing some of the insulation. If we can do that, it's quite tricky, but very achievable. Right, so we prepared the wires. So now we need our J Retro. and we've got just one wire on it. That's for the ground connections, and we've got to make sure we don't scratch our nice new base. So I'm going to twist the pickup wires together a little bit, make it a little bit neater. So we've got hot and cold. The white is the hot, and I'll just do one wire at a time. Important to make sure the screw terminals are open, well open, before you try and put the wires in. We send them out open. So that's the neck pickup connected. Now for the bridge. A little bit of cotton there, just get rid of that. Just open up the screw terminals a little bit on this one. This wire's a little bit short, but quite manageable.
Can't see it.
Hot wire. I'm going to make sure you can see this. It's a little bit long, that one, so we just snip it a little bit. You want about 5 millimeters. It's a little bit fiddly, but doesn't take that long. So that's the pickups and our ground wires, which come untwisted. So the final thing to connect up. Right, so we have a floating ground screw terminal which has 2 holes, but just using one. You can get 3 wires in one hole, and so that's all the connections done. So all that remains is to connect the battery. Drop the battery in the cavity towards the jack end, and then we have to get all the wires, making sure that we're not pressing down on any of them when we put the preamp in the base, and they're all this side of the circuit board. The crucial thing is to get the battery in the right place, just behind the jack, and then we can tuck all the wires in. And the preamp's now in. Make sure it's flat and no wires are trapped under the plate. slightly tighten them. And just give them a final tighten. And there we are, job done. Okay, well, thanks for watching. We trust the video was useful to you. Please check out our products on our website, and if you've got any questions, please email.